Hello and welcome to Goddess Resurrection. My name is Britta and I am your host. And today's episode is episode number 2 of season 2. So we are now in season 2, which is now the video version of this podcast. I've finally gotten the hang of it all. But you can, of course, still find the podcast itself in its audio version on all podcast channels. And then here on YouTube, you'll be able to get the video versions of the podcast of Goddess Resurrection. So, hello. Welcome, my beautiful sisters, goddesses. How are you? I hope you are breathing. And I strongly invite you to revisit the introduction to this entire podcast. This is where I am going into depth on the breath practice. But as a quick summary, go ahead and focus onto the breath and deepen your breath and slow it down as you're keeping your eyes open. This is about you learning to integrate the breath into life, into you every moment of every day, whether it's something, that you have to focus on, whether it's something where you can just be and let yourself flow. The breath is the glue that holds all of the aspects of yourself in connectivity. Your brain, your heart, your body, your grounding, your higher self, your soul, your light, your energy field. The more that you can remember to consciously breathe while present to life, the more you will open to the vastness of your powers. Yes. Okay, good. So I strongly urge you to, while we're here together, stay in the breath. Keep your eyes open. Do what you're doing, but stay in the conscious, deepened, and slowed breath. Very good, very good. So today's episode is a follow-up to last week's episode on the dark feminine. Why? Why do I keep going on about the dark feminine? Well, because there's so much information out there that is not correct. I really don't want you to identify with yourself as dark. I really don't want you to identify with yourself as, well, that's my dark side, or right now I'm going to get into my dark side. It's just simply not the truth. It's not right, right? So this is all information that really needs to stand corrected. And the reason for this is that the goddess sees everything. The goddess sees all, feels all, knows all. Yes. And so this is not about ignoring or denying or shaming or pushing away any darkness or shadow that we may have. No, we're seeing everything. But we're also not like buddy with our darkness and dark ways and shadows and incarnations hopping into the new earth experience, right? That's not going to work, because the reason to this ascension process, the reason why earth is ascending, is so that we're healing our souls, so that we're clearing and healing through all of our lifetimes where we have been dark, right? Because we've all had incarnations where we've been dark. We've all had many incarnations where there is still shadow left over. And that's what this ascension time is for. We're not playing in the shadow anymore. We're not acting out the darkness anymore. The goddess work and this ascension process that Earth is going through as we are now in the age of Aquarius is so that we heal and clear and evolve ourselves, our bodies, our incarnations into light. right? Because when we are in the new earth consciousness, when we are really truly living, as the light beings that we are, aware and embodied as the light of our divinity, as goddess, there is no darkness. There is no darkness, right? When the light is turned on, there is no more darkness. And that's just the way it is. So yes, have we known darkness? Yes. Is there still more darkness that needs to be healed and integrated and transformed and illuminated? Yes. Is there shadow within that we must face and deal with and work with and learn from? Yes. Absolutely. Of course, that's what this ascension process is about. And that's what the goddess work is about. But we're no longer here to, identify with ourselves as, oh, okay, well, this is my dark feminine. Let me act out my dark feminine. Right? So this is where it is very important now to pay attention and to really take note of what you're identifying with, of what you are buying into. I've seen so many videos here on YouTube now where even just a woman speaking up or stating her truth or taking a strong stance and saying no, right? Or the readiness to walk away from a relationship, or, the ability to hold center from clarity and authentic empowerment, right? And from this place to correct a situation or a dynamic or a relationship or its dynamics in terms of boundaries. None of those things are dark. None of that means you're accessing your dark feminine. None of that means you want to now identify with this strength, with this authentic empowerment that is you as dark. It's got nothing to do with dark. That is actually the true empowerment of the feminine, right? Because the feminine energy, remember, is the opening to all of you, right? The feminine energy is the oneness within as well as without. And so when you are in your breath and when you are deepening into your feminine energy, you deepen into the body, you deepen into the grounding, you're opening and deepening into the awareness of yourself, your energy bodies and your space, and you're also opening and deepening your abilities in terms of sensory, right? Reading energy, knowing energy, seeing, sensing, feeling, having the foresights, the downloads, the intuition, right? All of that. And it's also, of course, deepening and opening into your soul, other lifetimes, into your existence through other dimensions, and as yourself as light as a whole, right? So remember that your feminine energy is your light. And nothing can condition into your light. Your light simply is. And when you, as a goddess, are deeply seated and centered in your feminine energy from this place, you're never engaging darkness, right? From this place of you being so centered and settled within your feminine energy, from this place, because you're in your seat of your soul, you're in your light alignment when you are in your feminine energy. From this place, you know what to say and what not to say. From this place, you observe your thoughts very correctly and very consciously, and you catch those thoughts that are not supporting your light, the jealousy or the competition, right? The way in which we as females have harmed each other, right? Backstabbing, drama, gossip, taking each other's man just for the fun of it or the ego thrill of it, right? When you're in your feminine energy, you catch all of that old memory, whether you did it or somebody else has done it to you, whether it was in this lifetime or all of the other lifetimes that came before this one. When you're in your feminine energy, you see it, you catch it, you know it, right? And you may still have shadow where, some of these ways in which we've gone against the sisterhood still show up, right? Still could get activated. And so shadow is always wounding, right? Shadow is always the ways in which we were not in our light or experienced as not in our light. So whether we were victimized or we were victimizing another, right? That's the old paradigm. All of that we're outgrowing, all of that we're out healing now. All of that is all part of the transformation of this ascension time. And that's so important to understand now, that we really, really claim our light, that we really, really identify as the light, playing these human characters. And it is through this human form that we now get to heal the shadow, that we now get to learn from it and learn to illuminate it and integrate it, and even parts of ourselves that have been dark. Right? We've all had incarnations where we played in the darkness or worked for the darkness or with the darkness and didn't even know it, right? Because the darkness has such a way of manipulation, right? That the perception of self is as exciting or, changing things up or, doing something that's actually going to help. And so the darkness that we still have within our other incarnations or within this present incarnation, when we're in our feminine energy, we see that too. We feel that energy of, it's just lower, right? It's the memory, it's the lower energy of acting or choosing in ways that are not of the light. Right. And so it's very important now, to more so than ever, as we are really anchored in the age of Aquarius now, that we're really choosing to be the light beings. And the light sees everything. The light sees all, right? Good, bad, indifferent. The light doesn't pretend there is no shadow. The light doesn't pretend, oh, I don't want to engage that. That's shadow or that's darkness. No, not at all. The light is here to transform. The light is here to illuminate any and all of that which is dark within ourselves, so that we're raising our vibrations, so that we're bringing our entire wholeness, all lifetimes, our incomplete soul into higher consciousness, into raised vibration of our soul light, right? That's what this time is for. So again, we're not here to buddy along with dark selves or shadow identification, right? We're here to shine the light on all, illuminate all, so that all of us becomes integrated and whole and loved and cared for into, this beautiful empowerment that we really are as the light, with all of those gifts, all of those abilities and talents that are within us that will be brought out and highlighted by the light. And it's a very exciting and inspiring process. And what I really want to get to today is the emotional range. Because I had and there are slighter levels and heavier levels to light and dark, the concept of it itself, right? So we could go into darkness in terms of dark action, but then the lighter levels of it are very the day-to-day experiences, the moments that we encounter, as I had with a client today. So she's working on her healing, and she's very committed to herself and trusting her intuition and allowing herself to trust herself and her light and the intuition that comes through. And so now she's creating big change in her life. And change will always trigger fear and doubt. Always. So today she was like, oh, I feel like I'm going backwards. I feel like, I'm spending so much time just fighting these fear thoughts, and I have so much doubt coming up, and I just don't even know where all of this shadow is coming from again. And I thought I had dealt with it. And so she was really down on herself for what she was witnessing in terms of fear and doubt coming up, right? And anxiety and physical sensations that come with it too. And she considered that as shadow, as like old darkness. And so I was like, okay, so then you as the light, do you see this process as dark? She said, I don't know, maybe not. I said, well, exactly, right? You as the light, you see this process as a part of the journey. And as long as you pay attention to everything, as long as you see everything, as long as you feel everything and process everything, you're actually being in your light, right? Because you as the light, you are here to heal. You are here to learn and grow and elevate and then illuminate all of the parts of you. That's why you're playing human. That's really the only reason why you're playing human at this point. Maybe after taking care of yourself and healing yourself to make a big difference out in the outer world, sure. But it has to start with yourself first. And so she was like, okay, right? So now it became clear to her that she was really judging, right? She was judging her experiences. She was judging the fear thoughts. She was judging the, emotional reaction of fear and contraction and, am I making a mistake? And do I really want to move? And is this really right? Doubting and fearing. And so she was judging it all. And so the light doesn't judge, right? But it's the ego that judges. And so the ego working through the masculine energy, right, which looks at things in a linear fashion, which has that tendency to collect details and details and more details and more details, it can take us easily into that downward spiral of this old way, this old memory, seeming like we've gone nowhere, or this is just a part of me, this darkness, this shadow is just a part of me, and I just need to learn to live with it. Yes. And so I said to her, well, look at it from this angle, see the deeper levels coming up. And so how many more deeper levels of fear and doubt are there? For as long as we're in these human bodies, we have the ego, and we also will trigger fear and doubt whenever we're creating big change. This does not mean we identify with the fear and the doubt. This does not mean we indulge the fear and the doubt and we give a justification, right? What it does mean is that we recognize, oh, okay, yes, change will always trigger fear and doubt. So therefore, this is actually a good sign. Fear and doubt is coming up. That means I am creating my change. Okay, good. And then what do we do? What do we do with the fear? What do we do with the doubt? We don't think into it. We don't fuel it. We don't feed it. We don't identify with it either, right? We simply allow for it to be a part of the process, but we don't engage it. We don't engage the mental aspects of the old patterns, of the old layers coming up, layer after layer after layer that we're purging now. This is why things are coming up, because we're purging. However, as much as we're able and definitely wanting to ignore the mental thought patterns, the stories, right? So as an example, we want to ignore and not engage into the fear and, oh, what if it's a mistake? And maybe, you know, I'm going to get like lost and I'm not going to make any more friends and things are going to go really south and it's going to be bad. No, that would be engaging it. We don't do that, right? Instead, we ignore the thoughts, the fear and doubt and worry thoughts, because the more that we say no to the thoughts, the more that we don't engage them or feed into them, the weaker those thought patterns become, and the easier it is for us to then focus onto the emotional aspect, which the emotion is really where, you know, the rubber meets the road. Right? So this is when we want to learn to process through the emotion. We want to learn to really breathe and feel that fear, that anxiety. No thoughts, focus on the breath. I did an episode on purging, revisit that, right? Conscious purging makes it much faster and much easier to let it go. To just be with that. You can remind yourself of this is just part of the process and this emotional energy has to come out. Yeah. Breathe and feel, let it come out, let it release, so that you can come back into a place of clarity and center. But this does not mean that this was darkness, and we're not wanting to identify with it as dark. Right? What this means is that deeper layers of the old patterning, the old conditioning, the old judgments, the old fears, the old doubts, like, right, we've relived the old energies over and over and over and over and over again. And so it'll have to come out over and over and over and over and over again. And the better that you get at not judging any emotion, right? Because this is also where that tendency to consider it dark. Oh, like I was in my dark feminine because I was angry. No, you weren't in your dark feminine because you were angry. Goddess feels. Goddess feels fully and deeply everything. And Goddess can look at the world and have a moment of just needing to cry, crying for the souls that are suffering because of her empathy, crying for the injustice, right? Goddess feels deeply, and Goddess also allows herself to feel angry about the injustice. or, whatever the wrongdoing is. And she feels it. She doesn't think into it and focus into it. She doesn't, from the anger and goes nuts, and she doesn't blame and judge and shame and throw a pity party. None of that. It's about the emotion being a part of the human spectrum. And there is no emotion that you want to identify with as that being your darkness. Because emotions are just energy, right? And so we all want to continue to allow ourselves to feel it all. Don't think into it. That's the secret. Do not think into feeling. But just breathe and feel. Let it pass through. Let it pass through. Don't project it into the future. Don't project it into the present. Don't project it onto a person or a situation. Just breathe and feel. Don't think. Because then the thoughts of the old conditioning and the ego can make it dark and pull us into identification with that darkness. Yes? Emotions, no matter what it is, no matter how much rage you are experiencing, it has nothing to do with darkness. It is you releasing old emotional memory, old emotional experiences, no matter how deep the pain, no matter how great the sorrow. It is you releasing the old paradigm. It is you purging the old paradigm. Again, I'm repeating myself on purpose. Do not think, do not speak, do not act, do not choose from these emotions that you're purging and needing to feel and process out. Because when you're acting, when you're thinking, speaking, acting from these emotions, then that might take a goddess into darkness. But when you are in your feminine energy and you're staying aware of that this is simply purging, you're staying aware of that this is simply you releasing out old energy, and you're doing it with intention, and you're doing it with purpose, and you're doing it consciously, then you're simply illuminating yourself more. Then you're simply healing and illuminating and raising your vibration more, because you're doing it for the light, right? You're doing it very, very much on purpose, as the light, with the light, and for the light. Good. And so this is where I want to leave you for today. So I hope this all made sense in terms of really paying attention to what you are identifying with and what you are engaging with. Knowing that you're here to illuminate yourself and to be the light that you really are, always have been and always will be. And so as this earth is ascending and we are raising in frequency, less and less and less darkness is going to be able to be here, right? Because again, when we turn on the light, there is no more darkness. Not that darkness will disappear, right? There are many other dimensions where there's darkness. There are many other dimensions where there's battle. But this plane, this earth plane, is ascending. And so it's a bit of a process. It's not going to happen overnight. But we're here to illuminate and heal and transform and integrate any and all of that which is not of the highest light, into our highest light. Savvy? Savvy. Okay, my gorgeous sisters, I am sending you so much love, and thank you for your time and your energy and your presence. Hugs and kisses, love and light blessings to you and yours. Ciao for now.